So, I do not know what to say, but we are so grateful to have you back after such a long drought of not having you. All right. So, if you, as usual, if you want to chant the Giriraja Madhava Maharaj, you can do that. And then we can put the rest on the screen and you may start.
Okay. I will, I'll sing the Mangala Charana prayers.
Okay.
We just heard Srila Prabhupada sing Giriraja Madhava, which was beautiful. So I'll sing the Mangala Charana prayers and lead a short kirtan. And then we will speak on Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Maharaj. Please.
And the devotees on Zoom, I request you as far as possible to put on your cameras so we can see your moon-like faces and it will be more personal. Thank you. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Adakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagatatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsta Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for chanting such a beautiful Mangalacharam.
Okay.
So if you're ready, we may put the verse on the screen.
Yeah, I'll just go for a minute and come back, but meanwhile you can put the verse on.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. Thank you, Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 3. Gam Chadharma Dugam Dinam Risham Shudra Padahatam Vivatsam Ashubhadanam Shamam Vyasam Ichitam Gam Chadharma Dugam Dinam Risham Shudra Padahatam Vatsam Ashu Vadanam Shamam Yavasam Ichatim. Gam, the cow. Cha, also. Dharma Dugam, beneficial because one can draw religion from her. Dinam, now rendered poor. Brisham, distressed. Shudra, the lower caste. Pada ahatam, beaten on the legs. Vivatsam, without any calf. Ashuvadanam, with tears in her eyes. Kshamam, very weak. Yavasam, grass. Ichatim, as if desiring to have some grass. Translation. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The next symptom of the age of Kali is the distressed condition of the cow. Milking the cow means drawing the principles of religion in a liquid form. Great rishis and munis would live only on milk. Srila Shukadev Goswami would go to a householder while he was milking a cow, and he would simply take a little quantity of it for subsistence. So milk, as Srila Prabhupada says, is a miracle food, especially for children and old people, but it's a miracle food. And one can live only on milk. Milk alone is sufficient, as mentioned here. And the cow is so pure in the mode of goodness that we benefit greatly just from the association of cows. When Srila Prabhupada was in Gita Nagari, he said that just by spending time with the cows, one is elevated to the mode of goodness. One year I was at our Bhaktivedanta ashram at Govardhan Hill, and after the program, Keshava Bharati Maharaj and I wanted to sit somewhere to discuss. And there were devotees everywhere. We weren't sure where to go. And then Maharaj suggested that we should go to where the cows are and sit and discuss. And that's when he mentioned that when Srila Prabhupada came to Gita Nagari, he said that just by spending time with the cows, one is automatically placed in the mode of goodness. Yeah. So now I'll go back to the purport. So, the great rishis and munis would live only on milk. Srila Shukadeva Goswami would go to a householder while he was milking a cow, and he would simply take a little quantity of it for subsistence. Even 50 years ago, no one would deprive a sadhu of a quart or two of milk. And every householder would give milk like water. So it's very auspicious to be able to keep a cow or a herd of cows and calves and derive milk from them. I'm thinking of a recent visit I paid to the Bhakti Urban Farm in Houston, and they have cows there. And I was asked to speak on the subject of cows and the benefit we get from cows and the necessity to protect the cows. And yes, it's a very important part of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, and Dharma means religion or duty. So Sanatana Dharma is the eternal religion of the living being. And very much part of Sanatana Dharma is to protect the cows. Of course, the Bhagavad Gita specifically mentions it as the duty of the Vaishyas, Krishi Goraksha, Vanijam, Vaishya Karma, Svabhavajam. But devotees, being transcendental in principle, they can do the work of all the different varnas and ashrams, well, especially varnas in particular, and protect the cows. Very important principle. So now we'll go back to the purport. For a Sanatanist, a follower of Vedic principles, it is the duty of every householder to have cows and bulls as household paraphernalia, not only for drinking milk, but also for deriving religious principles. And yes, so many preparations can be made from milk, ghee, yogurt, so many sweets. When when we first came to India, we had a program in Bombay, and one of the persons present at the pandal, at the program, was Sadaji Whitlal, who had a chain of sweet shops in Bombay. And Srila Prabhupada gave him the nickname, the Sweet Ball King. And Sadaji Whitlal was saying how limited the sweets are in the Western countries. But basically, all they have is chocolate. And he was describing the numerous sweets that can be made from milk. And it's it's a long list. In 1971, my parents came to meet me in Calcutta while Srila Prabhupada was there. And my mother was very concerned that I was not getting enough protein in my diet, because then many people had the idea that if you didn't eat meat, you wouldn't get enough protein. And Srila Prabhupada would always keep sweets on his desk. And especially being Calcutta, he had either, I think, sandesh. I think he had sandesh. And to pacify my mother, he gave her some sandesh. He gave my father sandesh, and he said that these sweets are made of cheese, and they're very high in protein. And then he said to me, Giriraj, you must eat 24 sandesh and rasgulla every day. Then you will be strong and healthy. So, working on it. I'm not there yet, but yes, you can make so many sweets from milk, which are both delicious and nutritious. And it's just one of the many benefits that one can derive from keeping cows, protecting cows. That's another point. When the cows are protected, they feel safe and secure, and they give more milk. They're happy, and they give more milk. And it's also nature's arrangement that the cow produces enough milk to feed not only its calves, but also others, humans. So we're not depriving the calves of their share of milk by our taking milk, but the cow produces enough milk both for her calves and for us. So now back to the purport. The Sanatanist worships cows on religious principles and respects Brahmins. Yes, Krishna is appreciated. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Yes, the Krishna, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, he's worshipable by the Brahmins. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. And he's the well-wisher of the cows and Brahmins. And Krishna himself was a cowherd boy. He showed the example of how one can take care of the cows. In fact, the first day when Krishna was going to take the cows out to pasture, Mother Yashoda wanted to give him some silver sandals to wear. But Krishna said, no, I will not wear any footwear that the cows are not given to wear. and they had a huge herd, and of course it wasn't possible to give footwear to all the cows. And Krishna went barefoot with the cows, and he imprinted the land of Vrindavan with the imprints of his lotus feet. So God himself is showing the example of how important the cows are by personally herding them and caring for them. So how important the cow is. Go back to the purport. The cow's milk is required for the sacrificial fire. Yes, ghee is required for the sacrificial fire, and the ghee comes from the milk. So the cow's milk is so important. And by performing sacrifices, the householder can be happy. The cow's calf not only is beautiful to look at, but also gives satisfaction to the cow. And so she delivers as much milk as possible. So yeah, it's beautiful. And sometimes we see pictures, if we're fortunate, we could see it in real life, that the calf is drinking milk from the cow. Yeah, and the cow is looking with great satisfaction at the calf. So yeah, they should be protected. Gosh. The calf not only is beautiful to look at, but also gives satisfaction to the cow. And so she delivers as much milk as possible. But in the Kali Yuga, the calves are separated from the cows as early as possible for purposes which may not be mentioned in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Well, Srila Prabhupada is not mentioning for what purpose, but we know, unfortunately. The cow stands with tears in her eyes. The Sudra milkman draws milk from the cow artificially. And when there is no milk, the cow is sent to be slaughtered. These greatly sinful acts are responsible for all the troubles in present society. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said that unless we protect the cows, we cannot expect any peace or happiness in the world. As Srila Prabhupada says, the reactions to the greatly sinful acts of slaughtering cows are experienced in the form of wars and other calamities that are visited upon the human society as their karma for their sinful treatment and slaughter of cows. So yeah, we cannot expect any peace or happiness as long as we perform such greatly sinful activities. Back to the purport. People do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. They do not know. They are in ignorance. And Srila Rupa Goswami explains in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that suffering is due to sin, and sin is due to ignorance. So if we want to relieve people from their suffering, we have to educate them as to what is a sinful action so they can refrain from it. Because as long as they do engage in sinful activities, they will have to suffer the reaction. And it's very painful and miserable. Back to the purport. People do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. The influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, they must try to see the cows and the bulls happy in all respect. Yes, when Krishna was taking the cows out, and as I mentioned, Mother Yashoda wanted him to wear slippers, and Krishna refused unless all the cows also had footwear. So he said, Dharma rakshata rakshati, or Dharma rakshata rakshati, that if you protect Dharma, Dharma will protect you. And certainly part of Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, is to protect the cows. And by protecting the cows, by performing Dharma, Dharma rakshati rakshataha, Dharma will protect us. So back to the purport. So the influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, they must try to see the cows and the bulls happy in all respect. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy, but it is a fact by the law of nature. So simple. One earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy, but it is a fact by the law of nature. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for the total happiness of humanity. So Srila Prabhupada is so kind and merciful. He has, first of all, translated Srimad Bhagavatam from Sanskrit into English for us. And then he has given us his Bhaktivedanta purports, which explain the purport, the import, the meaning and significance of the verses. And he has given us a beautiful purport to this verse about the poor cow and how the cow is tortured by low-class people in Kali Yuga. So just today I got an email from some devotees in Houston saying that they wanted to develop a cow protection program. And inspired by this verse and purport, the first thing I'm going to do after I finish with all of you is I'll go to the email from Houston and support them in their efforts to protect cows. So thank you all for joining us. And now, if any of you have any questions or comments, any reflections, you can raise your hands. Yes.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It's beautiful how you go step by step in Srila Prabhupada's purport to help us digest it. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kusha Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
And question, in the course of your lecture, you mentioned Prabhupada said it is the duty of a householder to own a cow. So my question is, among devotees, most of us don't have cows. So are we following Prabhupada's order? Are we householders or are we not householders because we own no cows? According to Prabhupada, where do we stand?
Well, in olden times, the householders had land. Now, obviously, to keep cows, you need land. And if you don't have land, you can't keep cows. So many I should say probably most devotees now don't have land sufficient to keep cows. And if you don't, well, the circumstances are such, you won't be able to keep cows. But you can still be a good grihasta. And devotees who do have land and are allowed by the government to keep cows on their land would be blessed to keep cows and see that the cows are happy and draw religious principles in liquid form as milk.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Priya Devi, please, you may unmute.
I should introduce Hare Priya is an aspiring disciple from Tehran, Iran.
Iran. Oh, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please, you may unmute. Let me see.
Yes, yeah, unmute Hare Priya.
Okay, good.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you. And please accept my most humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. My question is how we can improve our Dharma and protect our Dharma in a better way. How we can protect our Dharma in a better way.
Yes, that's a very important question. Dharma rakshati rakshataha. You protect Dharma, Dharma will protect you. And we protect Dharma by following Dharma. And the Dharma protects us when we follow Dharma. And to follow Dharma, we need to know what is Dharma. And we can learn from the Bhagavad Gita what is Dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata, when there's a decline in following Dharma, Krishna comes. Parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya chadusritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He comes to reestablish the principles of Dharma. So we can find the principles of Dharma in the Bhagavad Gita, and we should follow them. And if we do, Dharma rakshati rakshataha. We protect Dharma, Dharma will protect us. And that basically would come from following the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much. And I am thankful to you from bottom of my heart, because everything you have done and you will do for me. And I am alone here, but I have a great association like you, and always you protect me. And Krishna bless you. I don't have any words to take how I can tell thanks to you, but just this, I can tell this. And I hope I can do my best in give, I don't know how I can say it, but it's not in the words. Just I pray to Krishna, put me in a situation I can serve to your lotus feet.
Thank you very much, Hare Priya.
Thank you to you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for everything.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Hare Priya Devi. Thank you for your question and your comment. Anyone else with any question? Maharaj, you were talking about how important and how beneficial it is for one to be close to the cows. You derive so much religiosity just by being close to the cows. And sometimes I don't know whether these researchers we have in this world, they just go into the Vedas, pick some information and record it as their discovery, because they affirm lots of things said in the scriptures. There was a study made that whoever takes care of the cows develop religious, develops virtues naturally. There was a study made like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's confirmed.
Yes. So personalities like Nelson Mandela of South Africa was mentioned because he used to tend to cows in his boyhood. Now, my question in that regard is, there are some people who have these cows, like Srila Prabhupada was so heavy then establishing slaughterhouses. They come very close to the cows, but instead of caring for them, they actually brutalize them. So do they still get some sort of spiritual or religious punya just by having the cows, but at the same time they're killing them? They're causing pain to them. What happens to such people? All right.
Yes, that's an interesting question, because they take care of the cows, but their purpose ultimately is to kill them and make money. So they might, I would suppose they get some benefit because they did take care of the cows for some time. But definitely the the sin of killing the cows is, much greater. The reaction for killing the cows would be much greater than any little benefit they might get for taking care of the cows until they kill them. Yeah, very sinful. And yeah, there was a anyway, I won't get into the economics of it, but children naturally love animals. They don't want to harm animals. And it happened that children were, they didn't want to eat meat because it was coming from killing animals. So I guess one of the companies had an advertising campaign in which they showed hamburgers hanging from the branches of trees as if they were fruit. So the children wouldn't feel bad about eating hamburgers. But yeah, it's, I forget, there was one meeting in Houston, and it came out that the meatpacking industry in the United States was being adversely affected by the propaganda of the Hare Krishna movement. They were very upset with the Hare Krishna movement because our preaching was affecting their business negatively, which is good. It's good. But they could, yeah, I mean, our movement has a lot of influence. Some people can perceive it.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you. Kusha Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Krishna Maharaj, my second question is on the Prabhupada purport. He mentioned that the rishis and the munis in the olden days, like Sukadev Goswami, they will only take a milk from a householder. And everybody can give milk like water. Prabhupada gave that analogy. People offer milk to them like a water to a sadhu. So my question is, we also have sadhus in this present time. And most of the sadhus we have, when they visit a householder, they don't just ask for a little milk or a little prasadam. They ask for some material object, which is not what is here in the scripture, in Prabhupada paper. So how do we understand these activities of some saintly people?
Well, what do they ask for?
What do they ask? Okay, for example, some sadhu will visit a householder, they will request for a flight ticket to go somewhere. They will request for material objects which are not necessary in devotional service. And this makes some devotees to lose faith at the request of material objects. So how do we understand this kind of sadhus?
Yeah, well, if they want so-called material things to use in devotional service, that's all right. Then they're not material. That's called yukta vairagya, anasatasya vishaya, but without attachment. Anasatasya vishaya, and without attachment for the objects of the senses, they can accept so-called material things and engage them in devotional service, which is fine. But if they ask for things in the name of devotional service, but they actually use the things for their sense gratification, that is sinful. Srila Prabhupada said that if you collect money in the name of devotional service, but you don't use the money for devotional service, then you become a debtor to the person who gave you the money, and you have to repay that debt. So we become implicated if we collect money on false pretenses that we wanted for devotional service, but then we actually use it for ourselves.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu's question and Maharaj, your answer reminds me of a very naive understanding I had about life some time ago when I was little. When I was little, I used to think that pregnant women didn't need to eat because I would see their bellies so much protruding, so I thought they are already full. So, yes, so a sadhu, a sage, even though he doesn't need anything material, but as long as they live in this material world, certain things are necessities, they need them. So that's what I just wanted to say. Hare Krishna. Salika Prabhu, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Master Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity. My respectful obeisances unto you, Maharaj, for your kindness and compassion to grace this platform to give us your association. We feel so delighted that we have personalities like you still with us because your direct association with Srila Prabhupada is like we have an opportunity to directly relate to Srila Prabhupada because the energy is transferred from the acharyas to the acharyas, and then our having opportunity to directly have this opportunity to speak with you, to hear from you, it's a great opportunity. We thank you so much for giving the time. Now, my question is that Krishna consciousness philosophy offers every solution that is required to give the world what it needs.
Yes.
And having practiced Krishna consciousness for several years, we have seen that there is no one thing in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
But we're finding it difficult to understand why application becomes a problem, because the most prominent experience we are having in our modern times is that kind of cohesion, that kind of cooperation, that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of explosion of Krishna consciousness that happened when Srila Prabhupada was on the planet and you were directly working with him. We don't see it these days. And some of the previous questions has mentioned something about the practical application of Krishna consciousness. And so my question now is that, how do we really bring to fore, how do we practically make this Krishna consciousness applicable based on what Srila Prabhupada has said? Because most of our yatras, there are no cow protections. Even the leadership in those regions don't even stay in those regions to train the devotees. Srila Prabhupada traveled 11 times across the globe just to directly make the devotees feel. Regions like West Africa, I can't remember when any guru, international gurus have come to West Africa. For an example, for Africa, we don't see, since our Guru Maharaj left the planet, it's been like, we're just like an orphans, and no guidance. The senior devotees that are presently ahead of us, they themselves don't even stay in the yatra. They're busy outside of the yatra, and there is so much of lacking in the yatra. The application of Krishna consciousness is not happening. And some of us are very bitter in the heart. We don't have the capacity because we don't have the leadership power to make things change. So what to do? We want to see the change, but we don't have the leadership power to make the changes. We know what is supposed to be done. We're trying our individual way, but I feel our individual practice of Krishna consciousness is not enough because the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to impact the larger society. So I would like your direct instruction to help, Maharaj, because I feel when I hear you today, I weep in my heart because I'm feeling the absence of my guru so much. Because when Bhakti Maharaj was on the planet, we were not like this. I feel like an orphan, a lost orphan, Maharaj. Please, what can we do?
Well, there's a very nice section in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that describes the departure of the spiritual master and how the disciples should respond. And there, Srila Prabhupada writes that, that the sincere disciples of the spiritual master try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master. So that possibility is always there. And then you'll feel your spiritual master's presence. As Srila Prabhupada wrote in his dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam, is dedicated to my spiritual master. He lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. So this is one of the essential points in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness about Vani and Vapu. Vapu means physical presence, and Vani means instructions. And as Srila Prabhupada says, the Vapu may or may not be available, but the Vani is always present. And he writes, we should take advantage of the Vani, not the Vapu. So, I mean, it might be a little difficult in a way, but that's really the process. The sincere disciples of the spiritual master try to relieve the situation by strictly following the instructions of the spiritual master. But just out of curiosity, does His Holiness Bhakti Dear Damodar Swami Maharaj spend any time in Nigeria?
Yes, he does, Maharaj.
Well,
It does spend some time, but the reality, Krishna Prabhu, just hold on a second. It does spend some time in Nigeria, but he doesn't go around the temples. I don't think any of the leaders here go around any temples. I personally pleaded with them when Gurudev left that there is only one thing he can do to serve Gurudev much in this yatra done is to travel around. And hardly goes anywhere. And that's a big challenge.
Oh, so what does His Holiness Bhakti Dear Damodar Swami Maharaj do when he's in Nigeria?
He goes to one or two temples. Maybe he stays in most of the time in Lagos, and he goes to Benin, one of the yatra close to the temple. But where I am based is very distant from Lagos, where he sits when he comes in to Lagos. But I think this is the 7th year he has come to this region last. And
so what's the name of the place where you are?
I'm in Jos Temple. It's a northern central state of Nigeria, Jos Temple.
How do you spell it?
J-O-S.
J-O-S. Jos.
J-O-L?
As in Sam.
Yes. S as for Sunday.
Yeah.
J for jog, O for orange, S for Sunday, Jos.
I will request His Holiness to visit you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Pretty Devi, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm trying to turn my video on at the same time. I'm sorry,
Hey,
I'm cooking.
Good, good.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, sorry, Guru Maharaj, I was cooking and listening. So it took me a little bit to unmute. I just have a comment that you mentioned in the beginning of the talk about value of cows and milk. And it so happened that I went to India in June to get Ayurvedic treatment done for my health. And the Ayurvedic doctor, gave a bunch of restrictions that I cannot have. And I was keeping my fingers crossed because I really love milk. And so I was hoping that he won't say no to milk, because if he would have removed that, or milk would have been a restriction, I would have surely cried. But thankfully, what he said is milk is, balances all the doshas, and it's a ojas drink. So if taken by itself, it should not be mixed with anything else. It's a nectar. So I was just thinking about it, like how the Vedic culture emphasizes on the importance of saving cows because they give us nectar. So I was just thinking of that. I wanted to share.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Mother Pretty Radhika. Hari Chakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Prabhupada. One quick question is a follow-up to the question Sahadeo first asked about the cows, people who take care of the cows. There are some people in West Africa, especially usually in the northern part of our countries. They are called the Fulanis. And it's like their innate job is to take care of cows. So people usually hire them. People like hire them to take care of their cows. And they are so good in taking care of cows that sometimes the cows can even understand their language.
Wow.
So these people, for instance, even though they are taking care of the cows, but as to what is done to the cows, like somebody employs them to take care of their cows, they will take care of the cows, but what the person does with the cows is not their business. So what about them? What about those people who have such jobs like the Fulanis? What is their position? Are they going to be, like say, are they going to get the full benefit of taking care of cows?
Yeah, that's a good question. So people give them their cows to take care of, and they take very good care of the cows. But then when the people take the cows back from them, they could do anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a tricky situation because from their side, they're doing the right thing to take good care of the cows. But at the same time, are they responsible for what the people do with the cows after they return the cows to them? That's the question. I don't think they're fully responsible. They're doing their job by taking good care of the cows. And then when they return the cows to the owners, it's unfortunate that the owners kill the cows or whatever, but the people who take care of the cows, they might be responsible to some extent, but not to full extent for what the owners do with them after they take them back. But you know, it would be nice if, I mean, I don't know how spiritual these people are, but it would be nice if they could try to convince the owners not to kill the cows. Oh.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Oh no, Maharaj is not here. That is Kavi
Yeah, I see. First I thought it was him
yes,
from the picture, but then I saw
it's kind of
Kavi Karnapur.
yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Kavi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj, for your wonderful lecture about taking care of cows and a wonderful comment you just made to Hare Krishna Prabhu's a question. I wonder, in line with Hare Krishna Prabhu's question, also in Nigeria, just like we have in Ghana, just like Hare Krishna.
Sorry?
Prabhu mentioned we have in northern Nigeria. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, in northern Nigeria, in northern West Africa coast, yes. We have these people, we call them Fulanis, just like Prabhu said.
Yeah.
Kavi Karnapur Prabhu, you may have to, Kavi, hold on. You may have to turn off your video because...
No, my wife is trying to call me. My wife is trying to call me. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so we have this in the northern Nigeria, the Fulanis, just we have in Ghana also, all over West Africa. So these people, just like Prabhu said, their duty is to take care of cows. And they are very sattvic by nature also. They can move from beginning of a country to the end of another of the country. They move a lot inside the forest, just like we hear from Krishna book. So, but recently, in Nigeria, now people are beginning to label them like a terrorist group. Because now, many of these people, they started taking arms, like guns. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you probably may have to ask your wife not to calling you at this point.
Maybe you answer her briefly and ask her briefly and let her know that you are trying to make a statement so that she can. Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Yeah, I think she's. Let me just ask my question
after with the question.
Yeah. Okay. You come back.
Okay.
All right. So sorry about that, Maharaj. While we wait for Kavi Karnapur Prabhu to come back, if no one has any question, I have a question.
I want to say something.
Okay, please do, Maharaj.
Someone mentioned my association with Srila Prabhupada. So there was a disciple on the Hyderabad farm where we had cows. And he came to Juhu and reported to Srila Prabhupada that they were, devising ways that the cows could give more milk so that it would be more profitable to keep cows. And Srila Prabhupada said that this is not the idea that by taking care of the cows, we become rich capitalists. The idea is that we take care of the cows because it pleases Krishna. Krishna Goraksha Vaishya Karma Svabhavajam. And that's the real reason we take care of the cows to please Krishna. Not that we can become rich capitalists by keeping cows that produce lots of milk. So I just thought I would mention that.
Oh, thank you so much, Maharaj. Not to keep cows for capitalism. So, Maharaj, I was thinking about some few things when I read something little about you online. And of course, what I read about you, I've also heard from other devotees that, especially in this material world, we all love to give love and we love to be loved. And our parents, especially when our parents take very good care of us, it is natural that we love them. And I'm sorry, it's kind of diversion from our topic being on the cows. It's a little diversion, but I hope it still stays on the path. And that is, you were the only child to your parents, right?
Only son.
Only son to your parents. And that makes it even more difficult for them to, like, in parentheses, lose you. And you love them. They loved you. But you saw Srila Prabhupada and nothing will stop you from running towards Srila Prabhupada. So my question is, what is the difference between love and affection we have for people we claim or feel we love and a calling? Because we had one of your God sisters speak to us sometime last week, and she was saying she was a teacher by profession. And then when she got in touch with devotees, she felt this urge that this was her calling. And so she wrote to the administration that I love my job, but I believe this is my calling. And simply because she said, this is my calling, they let her go. So my question is, calling versus love we have for our parents, our family, which is greater? And where do we allow ourselves to be pulled towards? I don't know if you get my question, because you personal, like in your case, you love and you still love your parents. They loved you, they still love you. But when you saw Srila Prabhupada, of course there was some love there, but there was a strong sense of calling that this is what I must do, this is what I need to do. And it becomes like a tug of war. Do I listen to what my parents, whom I love so much, or do I follow this calling I'm getting that I have to follow such and such person?
Well, there's two parts to my answer.
Okay.
The first part is that if a son or daughter becomes a devotee, the parents get spiritual benefit. So, even though they might not have been happy that I joined the movement, and especially that I was in India and so far away from them, but I knew that they are getting spiritual benefit from my devotional service. And the other thing about obeying parents, there's a verse in the fifth canto, Guru Nasasyat, Pita Nasasyat, Swajani Nasasyat, that no one should become a mother, a father, a husband, a guru, or a superior relative if he cannot deliver his disciples from the repetition of birth and death. And the purport is that if someone is not acting in such a way as to deliver their dependent from birth and death, then they're not a real mother, not a real father, not a real husband, not a real guru. And in his once in his room, yes, that's it. That's it. In Juhu, Srila Prabhupada was speaking to me and another devotee whose parents were, pretty affluent. And basically he was saying that, and he gave many examples, and I found the same examples in the purport of people who did not obey a father or a mother or a husband when that father or mother or husband was not acting in such a way or not instructing them in such a way as to become liberated from the cycle.
Somebody was asking of Damoda. I think
Sorry, Maharaj. Maharaj, please, you may have to unmute. I mistakenly muted you, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that, Srila Prabhupada was making the point that if they're not dealing with you in such a way as to free you from the repetition of birth and death, they're not a real father, not a real mother, not a real husband. And so you're not obliged to obey them if their instruction is contrary to Krishna consciousness.
Well, Maharaj, this your answer to my question has been like a reference point to me whenever I try to preach to others, that we may not know the person we're talking to. The person may be somebody who is coming in the line of great devotees of the Lord, and they already have the Lord's mercy. Even though we may not see them externally doing or practicing things we expect people in general to practice to get closer to Krishna. So my viewpoint has been that when I try to preach as a matter of duty, but not that the person is so ignorant and so condemned that I am helping him. I am blind, I cannot see, but those who are elevated, they may have the right to chastise or scold somebody. You were supposed to do this, you did not do it that way. So my question in short is, how do we as aspiring devotees try to preach without being judgmental, not saying that I am better than the person I'm talking to, so the person will have to listen to me and follow what I'm telling him or her. Hare Krishna, Maharaja.
Well, His Holiness Niranjan Swami shares a nice perspective, and that is that a person who, by our calculation, is not behaving properly has not received the mercy of a devotee. The only difference between us and them is that we've received the mercy of a devotee and they haven't. And so then the question is, will we be the devotee who will give them mercy and change their lives?
Well, thank you so much, Maharaj. I think we may have to bring the class to a close and let it go, hoping to see you sooner than later.
Right.
Because today is like a raindrop on the desert. We've been missing you so much, Maharaj. So, Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, I think you will bear with me that we have to let our dear Gurudev Maharaj go, and then we're hopefully going to have him again in the very near future.
So if we're ending now, I suggest we conclude by offering Vaishnava Pranam.
Yes.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. We're just like desired trees, we fulfill the desires of everyone.
They are full of
Compassion
compassion
for
for
all
conditioned souls.
Jaya Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gomata Ki Jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, so thank you all for being here once again. And Maharaj, thank you for your blessings and your love. And we hope to see you soon.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.